So we are going to learn how to write test cases. So before moving on to how to write test cases, we will learn what is test case. So test case is a specific procedure of testing a particular requirement. So what does mean by specific procedure? It is a step-by-step approach of testing a particular requirement. So what is requirement? If I want to test a login, if I write it in a step-by-step approach, it will be easy for me to test the application. Okay, so in the test scenario, you have written a step-by-step approach. So if I have this with my hand, this is my first test case. What is the step-by-step approach? Open URL, enter valid username, enter valid password, click on login. This is my step-by-step approach. I am going to write it as a test. If I have totally 10 scenarios here, I'll be having 10 test cases. Okay, I have segregated. For login, only 10 test cases are enough. I'm not, it is not necessary for me to write more than 10 test cases. I'm confident that these are the only test cases which are needed for login. None of the other test cases are needed for testing the login page. Okay, so I will not get confused, because people, what they will do is, if they don't know how to test the login page, they will skip from here to the next page. From there, they will come back to registration, and finally everything gets collapsed and they might miss the test cases. They might miss some functionality. They will not be testing some functionality. So obviously it will be a big disaster in finally while we are delivering the website. So that is why we are working overtime. So we are taking more time to test a particular website, because in the startup process, while writing the test cases, if we are not confident on the test cases, it will, while executing the test cases, we will face the problem. Okay, so that's why we are going to start it with a clear mind. Like, this is what I need, I'm going to do this, I'm going to convert only these test cases, and I'm going to execute only the test cases which is written in my test case document. Okay, so once you have prepared your test cases, you are not allowed to delete any test cases. Once it is created, it is done. Whether it is valid or invalid or duplicate test cases, you are not allowed to delete the test cases. That is the first point you need to remember, because people, what they will do is, they will write the test cases. In order to show too many numbers, some people, they use duplicate test cases. You understood? It's like they are doing some mischiefs, like they want to get prize from the team leaders. They will do this job. They will just copy paste the same test cases again and again, and they will say, like, I have written around 20, 200 to 500 test cases, but most of that will be a duplicate test cases. What they will do during finally, they will delete all the duplicate test cases and they will submit it to the team leader. That is not allowed. We should not do it. Or if I have written something wrong, when I am writing the test cases, I have done something wrong, or I have written some invalid test cases, leave it, let it be. We are in the learning phase. Everyone will learn. We have experience also. We will face these kinds of issues. Leave it, let it be. Don't ever delete a test case from your test case document during the middle of the project. Don't ever do that. Once you submit it to the team leader, it is done. You should not make any other changes. All the time, your test cases should be written in a single sheet. It should not be written in multiple sheets. All the test cases should be written in a single sheet. Only if you are using sheet number 1, every test case should be written here only. You should not write some test cases in sheet 1 and some test cases in sheet 2. And if the project is done by more than 2 testers. Everyone will be preparing their own test cases for their own modules. Finally, all the test cases will be merged together and it will be delivered as a single test case document. Okay, you should remember that your test case, if you are handling login, registration and login, you will be writing the test cases for registration and login. In inbox and compose, she will be writing the test cases for inbox and compose. If I am writing the test cases for trap, spam and logout, I will be writing test cases. Finally, test cases will be given as first modules. Test cases will be added in the same document, and below that my test cases will be copy pasted. But everything should be delivered as a single document in a single sheet. Okay, this is the process we are going to follow in manual testing while writing the test cases. And the next one is, now we will see what is test case. So we are going to write the test cases in a step-by-step procedure. And test cases, in simple term, I can tell you what is mean by test cases. Your output, expected output should match with the actual output. So what does it mean? Expected output is nothing but what do I expect? What is my expectation? See, in this test case, what is your expectation? If you enter the Yahoo URL, what is your expectation? Yahoo page should open. That is your expected output. You are thinking that it should open. But if it actually opens, that is actual output. You are assuming, if you are assuming something, that is expected output. If it happens, that is actual output. Whatever you assumed matches with the actual output, then the test cases are passed. Okay, if the expected output, you are expecting that Yahoo page should open, but actually the Yahoo page doesn't open, it directs me to some other URL, means your test case is failed. Okay, so this is what we are going to write in the test cases. So this is our test case template. We have multiple categories in our test case template. Our first category is test case ID. So every test case, if for example we are going to write 200 test cases, all the test case should have a unique ID. Okay, every single test case should have a unique ID. It should not be a duplicate ID. So how we are going to create is TC is my test case underscore. I am going to have my module name and I am going to give my test case number. Okay, so if I have 10 test cases in a login module, I am going to write it in this format. Okay, these are my test case ID. Now, this is test case ID. We have prepared the test case. If you are writing a test case for another one module, for example, think like you are going to write a test case for inbox module. I am going to write for inbox module. What will be your test case name? If I have 5 test cases, you will stop with inbox underscore 1, inbox underscore 2, inbox underscore 3, inbox underscore 4, inbox underscore 5. Okay, so obviously every test case ID is going to be a unique ID. This is your first category in your test case document. And the second category is test scenario. You're going to write your module name as your test scenario. So what is your module name here? Login is your module name. So your test scenario is going to be login. Okay. So for all the 10 test cases, your test scenario is going to be login. For inbox, then what is the test scenario for inbox? Inbox is your test scenario. So this is the short form. So some companies, they used to give a lengthy version of test scenario, but that is not required. Just give the module name as your test scenario, so it will be easy. They'll be asking you, the team leader will ask you like, how many test cases you have written for a login scenario. Obviously, you can easily check that for login scenario, you have 10 test cases. For inbox scenario, you have 5 test cases. Like that, you can easily verify and give them the numbers. As this is a manual testing, everything needs to be counted manually. So, when you are start writing test cases, be prepared for future reference. They will ask you, based on your test case document, they will ask you to give some numbers. They will ask you how many test cases you have written, how many modules you have written, how many test cases under each module. Everything needs to be counted once the project gets completed. So next is the test case name. So here we are going to give the test case name. So we are going to write it in a clear mode. So how we are going to write it is, this is to verify the login functionality with valid username and valid password. So what I am going to test should be written in this test case name. So I have written clearly. I'm not writing just I'm going to verify login functionality. I'm saying like I'm going to verify my login functionality with valid username and valid password. Okay, what will be the next test case name? Okay, so every test case name should be unique. It should not be same. You should not just say that this is to verify the login functionality. You are going to give different things. What I'm going to test exactly. What input I'm going to test with. So that is what we are going to give in the test case name. So test steps is, this is what I'm going to test it. This one is how I'm going to test it. So what is my first step? I will open the URL. This is my first step. Once I open the URL, I'm going to enter valid username. You should not say just like enter username. You should say specifically enter valid username, enter valid password. And finally, you need to click login button. Okay. So this is the steps you are going to follow for this test case verification. So if you are writing a test case for this is to verify the login functionality with invalid username and valid password, you will be writing the same steps, but here instead of enter valid username, you will be writing enter invalid username. So this is what we are going to follow in test steps. So we have just said like enter URL. What URL we are going to test with. That input we are going to give it here. So just mention the URL where you are going to test it. For example, if I'm saying like AUT demo .com or some website, means I'm mentioning the website name and I'm going to give some username ABCD and password. If this is the valid format, means assume that you are going to test your application with this following format. Okay, so this is the test input. You are going to test the application. When you are executing the application, you are going to use this IDs. Okay. Next is expected output. If I perform all these steps, what is going to be my output? If I perform these steps, what will be my output? If I enter valid username, valid password and click on login button, yes, successful login. User should be able to log in successfully. This is expected output. Till this, you're going to write your test cases and keep it with you till the developer complete the coding. Okay, so how you're going to write this test cases? Based on FRS, you are going to write this test cases and keep it with you. Once the developer develop the coding and they give the application for testing to the testers, we are going to fill it after that, this part. Okay, so you will be writing only till the expected output. Then keep it with you till the developer gives you the application. Once the developer gives you the application, we are going to execute and check whether my expected output happens. If my expected output is same as my actual output, like if the user is able to log in successfully, I can just say like same as expected output. Okay, so if both are same, you can just mention it as same as expected output and your test status is pass. If my expected output, actual output is not same, think like user should be able to log in successfully, but user cannot log in. This happens actually. Then my test cases fail. Okay, so if user expected output matches with the actual output, your test case will be passed. If your expected output doesn't matches with the actual output, your test case is going to fail. If it is passed, leave it as it is. No need to worry about that. You can directly pass means just give the tester's name, developer's name, who has developed the coding. That's it. Just complete the test case and you are not going to send it to anyone. You are going to keep it as it is. But if your test case fails, you are going to go to the bug report template and you are going to log it as a bug. Okay, you understood? If the test case fails, then you are going to create your bug report. Understood?
Yeah.
Any doubts, just ask me. So instead of confusing in this part, I will write the test case again. I will write the second test case for invalid username and valid password. So invalid username. So think like my invalid username is, this is my invalid username. So what should happen? If my username is invalid, I am expecting error message. Please check your username. Should be displayed. This should be displayed. Okay, but it displays please check the password. Okay, so what will happen? Here your test case automatically fails. Understood? So once your test case fails, we are going to create our bug report. So we are going to create our new bug ID. So which is same like our test case ID. So bug underscore module name underscore your first bug. you're going to give some bug ID. And which test case got failed? The second test case got failed, not the first test case. So I'm going to copy the test case ID and I'm going to paste it in the test case ID. So next, the bug description is the error message. We need to explain. This is the document we are going to send it to the developer. So you need to be clear in explaining the error. So error message. So error message is inappropriate. The following error message should be displayed. So what is the following error message? Please check your username. Okay, so we are going to check we are instructing the developer to check and change the error message. Okay, so now this is a error message. Now we are going to give the severity and priority for that error message. So what is mean by severity and what is mean by priority means? Severity means how severe the error is, how much it affects the application. So how much severity this error is? The error message is incorrect. So how severe it is? Whether it is high or medium or low. It is medium. Yes, of course, you're correct. It is medium. Why it is not high? Because it is not affecting the functionality. The error message should display. It displays, but it is incorrect. Okay. So if the error message is not even displayed, think like you have entered invalid username, valid password, click on login button, but there is no error message displayed. Whether severity is high or medium. It is high because no error message is displayed means user will get confused. They don't know what is happening. Okay, then it is high. Here it is error message is displaying, but something wrong with the error message. It is inappropriate. So we are going to categorize it as a medium severity. Okay. So priority means how fast the developer should complete this error. How fast they need to fix it. Whether they need to fix it, they need to give first priority, or they can do it slowly, or they can do it finally. Whether if I give high, again medium or low. Again, this could be also medium because as severity is medium, it can be done after by completing the high priority, they can do it. Okay, which are the issues which will come under high priority is if functionality is not working, if the button is not working, I'm not able to submit the button or I'm not able to submit the form. Okay, I'm not able to navigate to other pages. Like this issues, the severity will be high as well as the priority will be high. Okay, you understood? If the user is not able to register, the user is not able to log out, or they are not able to submit some data, all comes under high severity and high priority. Other than that, everything will come under medium, or sometimes it could come under low severity. So again, next comes the status. So for status alone, we have a separate bug life cycle. So what is mean by bug life cycle? So how the bug takes its variations, how we are going to give the status for each bug. So as this is a manual testing, we are going to do it everything using Excel sheet. So whenever I complete this bug sheet, if I have created 400 bugs, if I'm sending it to the developer, this is the first time I'm going to send it to the developer, I will put the status as new. Okay, so I will give the status as new and I will send this document to developers. So once the developer receives this document, they will change that status to assigned. Okay, so assigned means they will assign it to themselves. So developers, they will assign the bugs. If we are sending 200 bugs and they have 2 developers to fix these issues, first 100 will be allocated to one developer and the remaining 100 bugs will be allocated to the second developer. So they will just put the status as assigned and they will give the name. Like if this issue is fixed by developer 1, they will put their name. If the next issue is fixed by developer 2, they will give the name as developer 2 and their status will be assigned. Once the developer fix the bugs, they will change it to fixed. So again, the developer will change the status from assigned to fixed. Once it is fixed, it will be sent to the testers for retesting. They will check the issue and if it is fixed, they will close the bugs. So who will put the closed status? Testers will put the closed status. If it is not fixed, again we will reopen the issue. So testers will reopen the bugs. First, it will reach as a new status. It will be sent to the developers. They will change the status from new to assigned. Once the issue is fixed, they will change the status to fixed or resolved status and send it to the testers for verification. They will verify the bugs and if it is verified, it will be closed, or if it is not verified, they will reopen the bug. Again, it will be assigned to the developers. Again, they will resolve the bug, send it to the testers, verify it, close it, or reopen. It goes on. The cycle goes on again and again. So this is called the bug life cycle. Okay. Sometimes what happens is we might have given some bugs, but that will not be fixed by the developer. They will say like we will not fix these kinds of issues. What they will do is they will just ignore that kind of issues. Okay, so if they ignore the issues, that is called deferred status. They will just put ignore here instead of fixed status. They will ignore the bugs. So if it is ignored, get the comment from developers why they are ignoring the issues. So you need to get the comment here that why this issue has been ignored. So get the comment for ignored issues. So get the comment for ignored issues. So other than that, when the issue is fixed, for example, today they are fixing the issue. So they will be just saying like 2019. If I am verifying the issue tomorrow, then I will just say like tomorrow I will verify the issue. Sorry, verified date here. Tomorrow I am verifying this issue. Who is verifying this issue? Tester 1 is verifying the issue and the comments. Finally, if we are just putting ignore status, we are going to get the comment from developer. That is the mandatory thing. Without comments, if you put ignore status, they will ask you questions. So testers will be asked to get the comments from the developers. So you need to be aware that if you put any other status other than closed, you will be need to get the comment from the developers. Okay, so your final status, for example, So if you are writing a bug status, so bug report, you have many status. Like you have, first you will be entering the new status, you will be your status will be changed to assigned, then it changed to fixed, and then it will be tested, and if it is okay it will be changed to closed, if it is not okay it will be changed to reopen or ignore. Okay, so these are the total status for bug report. These many statuses we are going to have in a single bug report. It will go on changing. The status will be changing from one status to another. But the final status should be either closed status or ignore status should be there. When you submit this bug report to the test lead, when you complete this project, in the status column, you should either have closed status or ignore status. Either one of the status should be there, none of these status should be there. There should not be any new status, there should not be assigned, fixed or reopened status. Either you can have a closed status or you can have a ignore status. Again, ignore status means you should have the comments.
Yeah.
Once you got the status, once you close this bug, immediately you're going to go back to the test case and change the status from pass to fail. Sorry, fail to pass. Okay, so once the test case is closed, the bug report is closed. If you are changing the status to closed here, go back to your test case template and change it to pass, as well as copy the bug ID and paste it in the defect ID. We
Yeah.
are doing this only for this test case, and here it is just like that. We left it as pass, means this is the test case which passed when we first execute this application. When we execute this application itself, this test case is a passed test case, but this test case is a failed test case, and we have logged it in our bug report and we got the defect ID. So we need to differentiate which are the first time passed issues and which are the second time passed issues. Retested bugs, retested test cases. So to mention that, we are just mentioning the bug ID beside it. Okay, so your all the fields should be complete in the test case and the bug report. See, both the test case and the bug report statement should be complete. None of the fields should be empty. All the columns should be filled out. And I want to tell you, see, if you are writing 10 test cases, what are the steps that is going to repeat again and again? The first line is going to repeat again and again. Okay, so if something is going to get repeated again and again, you can have it as a separate precondition. Okay, so precondition launch or some name, give some name and write the steps which is going to repeat again and again, like open Firefox browser. My next step is type the URL. So these are the steps which is going to repeat again and again. Click on login link. After that, it will continue with this all steps. So instead of writing these 3 steps again and again, I can just give refer precondition launch. So what will happen is, the first 3 steps will be taken from here and the remaining steps will continue from here. So that is called precondition. So if some steps are going to, instead of 3 steps, you can write it as a single step. You can ask to refer the precondition and you can give the name. If you have more than one precondition, you can very well add as many preconditions. You're going to have some steps repeated again and again means you can have multiple preconditions, but the name should be different. Okay, you can have as many names. Precondition inbox, precondition compose. You can have any name based on your module name. You can add the preconditions. Whenever you want, you can give the refer precondition steps here. You can give it in between also, no issues. But instead of writing the same steps, you are using this format. Okay, so this is the way we write our test cases and the bug report template.